Hello everyone, it's me, Coffee Stitcher. It is middle of December. Next weekend is Christmas weekend. In fact, next Sunday is Christmas Eve. I'm planning to do a video on Christmas Eve. I don't really think we've got anything planned for that morning. So I should be doing my normal video. But I should be here. So I may not be, don't be surprised if I'm not, but I'm planning to be here. Oh, sorry. Apparently the sound is on my computer, and I didn't realize that. Stupid pop-up. Yes. So I should be here. Let's see. This week we don't have a lot in the way of Q&A. I did go to Stitch Niche with Kate. Katie was not able to join us, unfortunately. So I've got some haul, I've got some whip updates, I've got some FFOs, actually. So I guess we'll dive kind of right on in. I'm having a gingerbread latte today. Love it. Love it. Sorry. I had to respond to a work text. Doot. So, let's jump on in. Q&A wise. Vicky asks, when you finish a project, do you use a dry iron on the backside, or do you wet the piece and then iron on the backside? I actually don't iron it. Because I use a Q-snap, I don't tend to run into a whole lot of lines or wrinkles. So, and because they don't get finished for forever, most of them work themselves out, and then the stretching and lacing for framing or pinning usually takes care of that. So, there we go. E.F. Bauer asks, what is I wearing? It's a caftan. Amy Peterson asks, how did you transition from Ada to linen? Any advice? I'm a fairly new stitcher and really want to move beyond 14 count. I kind of jumped in the deep end. Unfortunately, I was able to kind of be shown at my LNS by the owner how to sort of do that. But you want to start to the right of a thread and think of it like it's a tic-tac-toe board and that you're going from corner to corner. That's kind of the easiest way I can explain it. I'm sure there are better tutorials out there, but that's how I always think of it, at least. Beaker Sanute asks, you discussed your monthly stitching budget for the month. Have you ever had to borrow from the next month? For example, there is a chart that you must have and can't live without. The answer to that, no, I've never really done a budget. So we'll see. I will be able to answer that for you better in a couple of months. Allison Stitches answered the question about my giant Harry Potter NPI silks. I forget who it was that asked. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Oh, Shannon A. So, I don't know what the colors are, specifically, but 993, 135, 115, 226, 526, and 961. And apparently, video 155 has more ideas in them. And good luck, Allison Stitches, for the restart. Cross Stitch Queen, no, you were mistaken that I had started, but you weren't mistaken that I owned it. But yes, it'll be one I definitely start next year. And yes, everyone will get to see my FFO here in a few moments. Lori Sciglione, Longfellow is actually really easy. There is a fair amount of backstitch, but it's not difficult backstitch. It's mostly just straight lines to do like the bars on windows. So it's not anything frustratingly difficult. The hardest part is definitely the over one, but you could always do 2 strands and tent stitch it. I do the full X, 1 strand. But really, there's not a lot of 1 over 1. The specialty stitches are going to be the more challenging aspect, but I enjoy specialty stitches. I definitely think you could handle it very easily. So, that is the end of the Q&A. All right. So that's the end of Q&A. Of course, I always welcome and love questions. I did actually sit down and work out my January plans. I will go over those next... Well, no, I guess the last Sunday is going to be New Year's Eve, so there will be a video on New Year's Eve, and I'll go over my January plans. Alright, so let's get into the haul. Also, I did get my fabric of the month from Ship's Manor, as well as a piece that I ordered. So I will show y'all that as well. So we'll start with that, actually. The fabric of the month this month was a surprise. We didn't know what the color was going to be. Eric was just going to dye something he figured we would individually for each of us. And I got this very lovely sort of purpley gray. It is 32 count Jobelin. But it's really nice. I really like it. It reminds me a little of the fabric that I got for, that thing with the stuff. It reminds me of the fabric I got for, Cheshire Moon. So, like this. And then I ordered the Anne Niven fabric in a, this is an Opal Belfast. It's a fat quarter on 32. I got it as a possibility for, the Soda Stitch Fairy Tales, but I think it's a little too yellow, unfortunately. But it's a beautiful piece of fabric, and I will definitely, I feel fairly certain that I've got at least 1 or 2 different things that could easily go on this. Including maybe if he decides to release his new sampler, hint, 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 Eric, that he showed on Instagram. That would actually look really pretty on this. So, those were my fabric of the months. Alright, let's see. Okay. Alright, so then we went to Stitch Niche. So, and I actually did very, very well. I was pretty well behaved. I got this year's ornament kit, which is a drum, that says Stitch Niche. So I got the ornament kit for this year. I got a Shepherd's Bush chart. This one is called All Is Well. It says, bees in the garden, sheep in the dell, flowers in the meadow, be still, all is well. So there's the chart. So, I think this is going to be one of my new starts next year. I just have to get... I actually have, I think, all of the Channel Arts and some of the weeks, but I will need to get, definitely get the Classic Colorworks. Then I got, for Kate and I, we're going to do this for, the Yellow Brick Road in, the Soda Stitch Fairy Tale Sal. It's Classic Colorworks Golden Star. It's a nice variegated yellow with some orange, so that it will look like bricks. And I decided where I'm going to start on that one, but I'll show you in a little bit. And then, from the scrap fabrics, I got 2 pieces. I got this, which was, it's a 30 count unknown. It's very, very, very stiff, so I'm betting anything it's witcheled. 12 by 26 cut of sort of a neutral color. It looks like it's linen, and I'm going to do the Soda Stitch Grandma's Garden on this one. And then I got this from Fabric Flair. I'm never been a big fan of Fabric Flair because I don't like the way it feels, but I really liked this piece of fabric. And it's not photographic. It would probably show you better if I turned it the right direction. I don't know how well you can tell, but it's yellow, pale yellow and white stripes. And I'm going to do the Lizzie Kate Green series on this. So, that was the haul. Ba-doop, boop, boop. Yay, haul. Alright, so now I'm going to go over what I worked on this week. As I showed you, I was starting. I started the, stuff attached. Blah. The Beatrix Potter from Primitive Hair. This is on the Lakeside Linens, and I'm using Ship's Manners A Perfect Day for the words. It's a silk. So that's as far as I got, because while I was working up, Sunday night I had a headache and really didn't feel like stitching, so I was working on my plans. And I realized that we have, for our Colored A Day Sal and Mania next year, we're doing a Zodiac theme. And I went, oh, well, that would be a perfect time to do the Clouds Factory Zodiac, which meant I needed to at least do some of the frames, like, now. So I went ahead and started it. This is on Whimsical Winter from Under the Sea Fabrics in linen. And I think this is the top. I will double check that, obviously, before I start stitching. Although it may not really matter either way. But there it is. It shows up much better in person than it's showing up here. But I'm using Lamplight from Ship's Manor in silk for the rings. See, there we go. So it shows up much better in person than it photographs. And it's also a silk. And this is 36 count, so it's 1/2. So that's going to be what I do this year. So that's one of the things. Yay, the things. Alright, so I worked on those. I also worked on the Lizzie Kate Christmas sampler. Oh, that was the other thing. I got parts 2 and 3. So I got my lyric, or my verse recharted. So I'm redoing it with a lyric from, adapted from Keep Christmas With You, from Christmas Eve on Sesame Street. So it's, Christmas means the spirit of, and then I'll say giving, etc., etc. So you'll see that as it comes along. Otherwise, I'm not making any changes. So I worked on that, and then I'm kind of in a mood for a finish. So I think I can actually finish, since I'm not doing the shell, I think I can finish Legend of the Blue Sea, because I've got her tail, the little bit of coral, and then those fish and some bubbles, and the starfish too. So I think I can work out a finish on it. So I'm going to try and get her done. And then I guess that brings us to, and I guess here for Teresa, since I really don't, I'm not sure if I showed it very long enough or not. Trying to be better about that. There's another look at the Beatrix Potter. So, I have the about 4 words done. It says, you never quite know. So, and I'm using Sailor Moon for my needle minder on Zodiac, because she seemed appropriate. Alright. So here are the 2 finishes. First, the gift for my adopted grandmother. Here it is, as a no-sew cube. There is a bubble here. I have tried everything I can to get that to come out, and it just won't. I did actually even try ironing it, and it's just that bubble is there. So, there it is. There's the side. There's the back. So, I think she's really going to love it. And then I also picked up my framed welcome from Tempting Tangles. There was another one that I actually had framed at Stitch Niche that's at the shop as a shop model now, because I didn't have a place for it. So, I did this on Autumn by Under the Sea Fabrics with my own color conversion to a whole bunch of random crap. And it now hangs over our front door. So, yeah. Anyway, that's it for me this week. I am expecting some charts from Trisha. I'm expecting... Don't you love that face? There may be more that's coming in. I think the charts from Trisha are the only stitchy things coming in. I've got some other stuff coming. And then, obviously, after Christmas, so the last one of the year, we'll have my haul from Christmas Money at Stitch Stitch. Because they're gonna be some. So, anyhow, I guess that's it for me this week, and I will see you all next week.